recording. So, my beautiful ladies and Andrew, if I can ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, and you can mention it in the chat, patience. Are you very patient? That will be the top end of the scale. Or are you impatient? Or do you have pockets full? So, pockets full means most of your time you are more patient. So what will be your count? 5. So for me, if I might say, mine is about an 8. So yes, I know that good things come with if you wait a little bit. But I know it took a very long time for me to say yes, Annette, if you want something, wait for it. I know there's a lot of, with the media everywhere, instant gratification is what a lot of people want. They almost like crave for it. Oh, I'm so sorry, Andrew. I'm going to mute you until you started. Let me just see if I can get it right. Ah, thank you. So instant gratification is a big thing, but especially in the youth. And that's one of the things I try to teach my two grandchildren. The little one is too little, but my almost 8-year-old Zander, if he cannot play Xbox now and his mother wants to go, and then he will say, Omi, please, I love her very much, Omi. And he said, I love you too. And he said, please, can we not stay at home because I want to play Xbox? And then I will tell him, the Xbox is not going to fly away, my beautiful one. He didn't understand that in the beginning, but I have to explain to you, Xbox is not going to fly away. We're going to go on, Almost going to put a hat on. We're going to meet people. And maybe there's something, an ice cream or something in the way. We don't know. And then when you come back, then, then you can come and play Xbox. Okay, oh, well, that sounds wonderful. And it happened quite a lot. So, yes, instant gratification it's a big thing, especially under our youth. So for me, today's session, patience was like so amazing. And then my beautiful Jaisri and Val, you ladies were, it's the first time ever it happened. When I ask what the sessions, your sessions is just turned around. So Val, you will be doing the 5 minutes and Jaisri, you will be doing the 20 minutes. So we're going to start with Andrew. So I have told Andrew, I met Andrew on my firewalk that me and Jaisri attended. And I was trying to video myself and the DJ at the back. And then my eye caught Andrew while he was dancing. And the way he was dancing, I just had to meet him. I just had to go and introduce. And what an amazing experience, Andrew. Becoming your friend on Facebook, messing each other. You are you are such a special person. So it's just an honor for me to introduce you to the ladies and give us your awesomeness. And we're ready for that. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Sanet. Thanks for that beautiful introduction. Just to let you know, Sanet, it was also at that event, I also remember seeing you in the front, at Cobus Pusser's event, yes. And I was wondering, who's this lady dancing there in the front? And that caught my eye. That caught my eye. And that's why I was like, wow, this lady has so much of love. This lady is overflowing with so much of energy. And it was just, from that moment when I met you and I gave you a hug, I knew, all right, you know what? Sunette and I are going to click off. That was amazing. And I'm so honored to actually be here with you. And Val, Jayshri, Mel, Fatima, thanks for joining us today. I'm really stoked to have all of you guys here. Um, Sanet, I want to say, wow, what a topic, eh? Patience. When you said to me patience, I was like, wow. I think the most amazing part of being a speaker and a coach is when somebody says, hey, why don't you talk about this? Something that you're not really prepared for. You yourself go on a self-learning journey. There's so much that I know about patience in the last 2 weeks than I've ever known in my entire life. Yes, yes to that? So I want to start off. I want to put it to you this way, ladies. That everyone has their own perspective on patience. Patience is such a broad topic, and that's what makes it so interesting when we have more than one person talking about patience. You know, you can have this different perspective from Val and a different perspective from Jayshree herself, right? So my title was supposed to be 5 ways on how to improve your patience, but I kind of like changed it because I didn't feel comfortable with it. So it's more about conscious patience. That's my topic for today. I'd like to introduce myself properly to you guys. My name is Andrew Emmanuel, and I live in Vereniging. I'm actually a serial entrepreneur. What I actually do is I open gyms in underprivileged areas in South Africa, township-based gyms, areas where there's no gym facility to help people, you know, exercise their bodies and their minds. So I have gyms in Alexandra, in Everton, in Tembisa. Now these are townships where people live in shacks. So that's what I actually do for a living. I own other businesses as well, but my main passion is actually speaking. And this is what I do in my gyms, and this is what I do in my spare time. As a child, I always knew that I wanted to be a life coach, and I always knew that I was destined to speak. So yes, I'm so honored to be here. That's a little bit about me. And what we'd like to talk today about is actually patience itself. So, what is patience in essence? What does patience even mean? Patience is the ability to, to allow yourself to sit into suffering without being stressed out, getting angry, or upset. That's what patience is. Um, Sanet, you asked me, what is my level on a scale 1 to 10 for patience? Mine is like a 15. That's how much patience I have. I can sit here like a monk the entire day. Hi guys, are you still there? The entire day and just be that patient. Hello?
Hello,
Do we
yes,
have sound
yeah.
here? Yeah, I'm just making sure I see the screens disappeared there a little.
I just want to
Yeah,
quickly say something. Sorry for that, Andrew.
yeah, sure.
Val, can you hear Andrew clearly? Because on my side it's very distorted. But are you okay? And okay, perfect. Okay, you're welcome to go ahead, Andrew.
Okay. So my talk is more about questions because I believe that questions help you open up to more answers. And in life, when you ask the right questions, you get answers from the universe. So why is it so important to be patient? Why is it important to be patient? There are so many reasons out there. I would like to tell you exactly why I think it's so important to be patient. A number of years ago, I started before I became a gym owner. Actually, I was I was in a totally different era. I was actually a gym sales consultant. I remember, I think this was around the age of 21, right? When I was about 21 years old, I was totally broke, by the way. Didn't have any money, so there was no social media wasn't really big that time. So I remember going through the newspaper looking for a job. So, at the back of the newspaper, you get the classifieds. So I came across a job, and this job said gym sales consultant, commission only, right? I applied for the job. I went for this interview. So the guy looked at me, interviewed, carried on. He said he'll give me a call a bit later to tell me whether I've made it and I've got the job or not. So I patiently waited for his call. It didn't come, so I decided to call him and asked him, "Hey, what happened? How was the interview? What did you think of me?" And he said, "No, listen, you're not cut out for this job." And I looked at him and I said, "But it's commission only. Come on, how can I not be cut out for this job? You're literally taking anyone." Long story short, I waited another few weeks. A month went by, 2 months went by. I applied for the same job again. Again, went for an interview. This time, interviewed by a different guy. Got the job as a membership consultant. At that point, I was living in a little call it cottage, right? With my wife. I was married that time. Living in a very little cottage, an outbuilding in somebody's house, right? Didn't have any money. My first pay as a sales consultant was, I remember taking home like $300. It was $300. So I had to go home now and tell my wife, listen, I worked the entire month and I made 300 bucks. My second month, I made 400 bucks. My third month, I made 500 bucks. I was getting heartful of this. I said, you know what? I'm going to leave this job. I can't do this. This is not productive. It doesn't make any sense. How can I work for 500 bucks? How can I feed my wife and myself? And how can I even put petrol in my car to get to work? So I jumped in my car from work, drove all the way home, jumped out of my car with my bag, walked to the door, and I was about to go inside. And I realized, you know what? Something said to me, Andrew, why don't you just be a little patient? Give it a little bit more time. Let's see what happens. So I turned around, jumped back into my car, went back to work, started working again. You know, I gave it my best. Within the next 2 months, I became a manager. I quadrupled, tripled my salary. I was earning about 30K a month then. Before I knew it, I realized, well, this wasn't enough for me. Let me see if I can open my own gym, you know? Let's see if I can actually get this done. 2 years later, I met a few guys, spoke to them, joined the dots, boom, opened my first gym in the township. So the point of the story is, you know, why is it so important to be patient? Sometimes the greatest things in your life, what you really want, might be lying on the other side and requires only a little bit of patience from you. This is why it's so important to be patient. You just never know what's waiting on the other side for you. If you give up too quickly, if you become too impatient, you might lose the very thing that you are chasing. This is why it's so important to be patient. Patience opens up the doors to whatever you want to manifest in your life. You know, I describe it in this way here. Imagine trying to run through 1,000 doors one at a time. That's what happens when you're impatient. Life doesn't manifest the way you want it to manifest if you decide to be impatient. This is why it's so important to exercise patience in our daily lives. The next question is, what makes us so impatient? And you just touched on it just now, Sanet, right? What makes us so impatient? You know, as human beings, we want everything today, now, pronto. You know, we want to manifest our goals today. We want that job today. We want to make R1 million today. Well, instant gratification. We want everything instantly. We want it now. That's one of the reasons that we really are impatient. The other reason is the fear of loss. You know, fear of losing all the time makes you so impatient, because when you feel like you're losing, you like agitated and you're like, you know what? I really want to go out there and make a difference. I really want this. But because you fear so much, you become impatient. And that brings me to my next story. I just want to know, you can answer this in your head. I know it's a Zoom call. Has anyone ever decided to trade stock, Forex stock? Have you ever went on to the SP 500 and tried to trade stock? Okay, I see you nodding your head there. Well, let me tell you what it's like. Warren Buffett described it like this. He said that Forex trading is like taking money from the impatient and giving it to the patient people out there. So I jumped onto my phone. I decided, you know what? I want to make some extra money. Let me start trading stock. I didn't really know much about stocks. So I went onto Google. I spent a few hours learning, did a course or so, and I decided, you know what? Let me take 25,000 there. Let me go and play some games out there. So I went onto SP 500, bought a few shares for 25,000. And so how it works is, when you buy stock, you can either buy stock or you can sell stock. So if you buy stock, it means that, let's say I buy stock at 100 units, right? And that stock reaches, let's say 120, 140, then you actually make money. But let's say if it goes below 100 units, like 80 units, then you actually lose money. So I took 20 grand and I put it in there. And I was like, after 5 minutes, I looked at my screen and I was busy just looking at it and I'm waiting. I'm like, what's going to happen here? And within 5 minutes, I lost 1,000 rand. Within 10 minutes, I lost 1,500 rand. Oh, and now I'm starting to sweat. I'm like, oh, my blood pressure is going up. I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose all my money here. Within 1 hour, 5,000 Rand gone. So guess what I decide to do? I decide to check out. So I check out, I lose 5,000 Rand, and I'm like, yes, I just saved 20 grand. 1 month later, I log onto the same web, onto the same site, go back to that stock, and I have a look at the stock, and now the stock is sitting at 170 units. And I'm like, if I just kept my money in there, I would have made 15,000 Rand. But because I was so impatient, I felt like I'm going to lose all my money. I lost out. And that's the result of being impatient. This is how impatience affects our life holistically. My job here today is not to teach you guys about what is patience and what it is to be impatient, but more to create awareness around this topic so that you can make your own judgment. Because, different strokes for different folks. One shoe doesn't fit everyone. Everyone has a different game plan. Everyone is on a different path. We all require a different prescription in life. So it's not to come here and teach you anything, but just to merely bring my own experiences that I've learned from being patient and impatient, right? So my next question is, how can we create awareness around being patient and impatient? How can we create awareness in our own lives, So the first thing that I would say is, don't judge yourself when it comes to being patient or impatient. It's so easy to get caught up saying that you should and you shouldn't. The thing is, it's your human nature to be impatient and to be patient. You can't either be one of the two. You can't get up every day and say, you know what, I'm just going to be patient. It's not how it works. You are biologically set to be impatient, and you have to train yourself to be patient. So don't judge yourself every time you become impatient. Create awareness around, when you are impatient. The second thing I would say to create awareness around patience in your own life is to accept where you are. Like Sanet asked a very important question. What is your level? What is your tolerance for patience? Everyone has a different tolerance. What is your specific tolerance? How much can you handle? When you get stuck in traffic, does that anger you? Or is it when your kids come home and they are noisy, does that anger you? Or are you someone who's a bit too patient, you're too passive, and you allow people to take advantage of you? So where are you? Where do you fit on that scale? And then accept it, accept it wholeheartedly, accept that this is where I am. I find that most people find it very difficult to work on themselves because they are in denial most of the time. They don't really see what problems they have, what needs to be fixed in their life, or not fixed, let's say changed or upgraded for something different. So if you can accept where you are in your life, it's another step to creating awareness around patience. And then the third step is identifying what is your personal prescription. Like I said to you, we all have different prescriptions. Like myself, Sanet, I think I'm like a 15 out of 10 when it comes to patience. About 2 months ago, I had a friend give me a call, and he wanted to borrow some money from me. Actually, about 3 months ago, he wanted to borrow some money from me. So I asked him for what? And he said, you know what? I want to borrow some money from you because I want to improve my business. Now, I'm the type of guy that when I see small SME business owners wanting to improve, their lives and, create employment in South Africa, I'm there to help. So I said to him, all right, man, sorry, it was 4 months ago. So I decided to loan him some money, right? And he said to me, no, I'll make an X amount of payment every single month into your bank account. So me being the patient kind guy, I was like, okay, cool, man. Here's the money. You go and invest it into your business, and I'll wait for you to pay me month end. So month end comes, guess what? Because he's waiting. He doesn't pay me. So I said, you know what? This is my friend. I know him for so long, man. Come on, I know him since childhood. You know what? I'll see him. I'll see next month. I'm sure he's gonna pay me. Next month came, no payment. I'm like, dude, come on. I'm your childhood friend. Oh, and to be patient. Okay, I'll be more patient. I'm a patient guy. Next month came, no payment. This is a typical example of myself who is just too patient. When you become too patient, people tend to say, you know what, Andrew's patient. You know what, I don't have to give him that money. He's just such an understanding guy. So where do you fit on that scale? Where do you fit on it? Are you very patient? Are you very impatient? Are you like me who's too patient, you know? So important to identify where do you fit in with your personal subscription when it comes to patience. I would say that the habits that you will need to run patience. Now, another question I got to ask. I don't know, Sanet, if anyone can answer this well live on Zoom. I just want to ask, how many of you, maybe with a show of hands, actually meditate every day?
Meditation, ladies, you can show of hands. And I can just say, Andrew, a prayer is also a type of meditation. So if praying is also meditation. So yes.
Yes. Yes. So I found, so with myself personally, I started meditating like you, Sunil. I only started 3 years ago. I started doing it consistently and praying as well. I realized that, you know, it has such a major effect on your fight mode in your brain, sort of gets you in a calm state. So meditation is a brilliant habit to have if you would like to improve your patience. Learn to meditate at least every day if you can, or pray every day. This will help you get off that flight or fright mode, you know, trying to control everything all the time. This is what meditation will do to help you with your patience, if you're very impatient, that is. The other habit that you can run is delaying gratification. How many of you actually practice delaying gratification here? I do. Great. Types of delaying gratification that you can do. Maybe try a cold shower. How about that? If you haven't tried a cold shower, how about missing that glass of wine? Skip the glass of wine. Sorry, that's to whoever has a glass of wine. Huh? How about skipping that favorite TV program that you normally watch? How about doing that? That would help you create more willpower, which in turn will give you more patience, will be able to help you run your patience a lot more. And the last habit that I would say that you should run is gratitude. And I'm sure that a lot of people here practice gratitude, right? I'm one of them. I practice gratitude almost every single day. I want to say that gratitude has such a profound effect on your brain and who you are. I remember before I started practicing gratitude, I was the type of guy. I wasn't the guy that you see right now, right? I was the type of guy who looked at everyone and used to be like, I'm better than that guy. You know, why is he trying to be grateful for his life? What is this meaning of being grateful? I used to look at people and laugh at them, but not realizing what power gratitude really had. I hated my life when I didn't practice gratitude. I lived in a very, very dark place. I'm sure that a lot of people also experience this as well. So gratitude will help you. You know, Steve Jobs says that you can't join the dots looking forward. You can join the dots looking backward. Gratitude helps you look behind you, helps you look at your life, where you've come from to where you are. We do not spend enough time praising ourselves for the little things that we do and for the little things that we do have. We don't get up every morning and say, I'm so grateful for the sun this morning, you know. So gratitude allows you, it's a habit that helps you, allows you to come into that moment and pause and say, you know what, I'm so grateful for the sun today. I'm so grateful for the water that I drink. I'm so grateful for the hands that I have. And that's what gratitude does holistically to bring you into patience. So, Sanet, another question
I'm sorry,
for
Andrew.
you. Do you?
Sorry,
Yes.
Andrew. I just wanted to ask because we still need to
Yes.
keep Val and Jaisri. So you are allowed to have one more question, and then we're gonna wrap up from your side. Is that okay with you?
Oh, cool. You know what? I have my watch here and I'm not even looking at it. I'm like, wow, you mean time flew like that? All right, guys. Yeah, that's from me. Holistically, I hope that I shed some light on it. I would love to get to know each and every one of you. Please invite me on Facebook if you can. Let's have a chat there, and let's hand it over to the next speaker. Let's give it to Val.
Oh wow, thank you so much, Andrew. I'm so sorry I had to ask you, but I have sent you a message, but I'm sure you didn't see it. So before I go, I want to say, Andrew, thank you so much for inspiring us, and then also bringing it into give us practical examples that help us to understand it as well. And I remember quite clearly when I asked you to talk about patience, you looked at me and you said, I didn't give him an option. I gave the Diamond Beauties an option to choose. I didn't give him an option. When I prayed, I got his face in front of me to talk about patience, and I've learned that God has sometimes a very beautiful spoon that I need to give him the spoon to say, look at patience in your life. So yes, I thank you so much for that. So before we go to Val, I just quickly want to read you my quote, and it's because my grandson got a band-aid. So I said, patience is a band-aid in your heart, ensuring everlasting love for yourself and others. So Val, I am so excited that you are going to share your 5 minutes with us. Your video was amazing. And I know, my beautiful one, you only started the other day to do this 2 minute videos for me. And you are the first one that every time I've done it, and you even done it for the TV show. So I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And then just before you talk, Val, please keep me in your prayers, everyone. The CEO of the network, the TV network, wants to talk to me 11 o'clock tonight because I've got only 3 episodes left that I gave me. So I don't know what he's going to tell me. I told him I will not be able to pay for my going forward because I need to get a sponsor, and he said he wants to see me. So please hold me in your praise for tonight. Thank you. So Val, if I can give it all over to you, thank you for your inspiration, my beautiful one.
Thanks, Sanet. So I ask you, how many of you are patient? I see some are 4. I'm a 6 to 7, so I'm sort of patient. And do you listen? I think listening is going to help you understand creating more patience for your life. For me, I had to diligently learn to listen because I'm so ADD or whatever it is that I just love to talk a lot. And allowing someone else to speak was always difficult for me. And then my life changed. I traveled with 125 former prisoners of war back to their prison camp called Stalag Luft 3, the Great Escape Camp. I was recording their histories because they started telling me their stories, and I learned so much from them. When you are patient and you listen, really listen, you learn so much because you turn off all of that stuff that's going on in your head and you listen to that person with heart, with interest, and you find nuggets of amazing value from listening to someone talk. Imagine you're 20 years old and you're fighting a war that you didn't create, nor did you want to fight, and yet you are. And then something horrible happens and you're captured. You're placed in a camp surrounded by barbed wire. There are guard towers with machine guns and men who are ready to fire on you. And you don't know really where you are. You wonder, will I eat? Will I survive? Will I have another day? And then you have to just keep going. You have to depend on your courage and your resiliency and your patience in order to make it through, when really all you've got are the clothes on your back. The men I'm talking about and women who were in the Pacific, they really had to allow themselves to be patient because they had so much time too much time, way too much time. I mean, they had so much time to think and to be fearful and to do all of that. You know, the men in Stalag Luft 3, the Great Escape Camp, they started reading books that the Red Cross brought, and they played games, athletic games, and they took courses that some of the other POWs taught. And for those people, they learned patience, because many of these people were held for almost 3 years, 3.5 years or more. Imagine what that must have been like. You know, those who learn to be patient, they learn to listen. They learn to listen to themselves, to other people, and to allow the time to pass. It helped them their entire future life. They changed what they were going to do for a living. It changed them so much that they didn't have to sweat and fret about any of it, because they listened to their heart, they listened to others, and that helped them with patience. The healthier ones that really did enact these skills live more happily the remainder of their lives. Those who were frustrated and angry and they wanted it now, they remained that way. They remained unable to accept, to be have gratitude, to listen, to have patience. And the remainder of their life, they were stuck. So I ask all of you, are you in a prison camp of your own making? Are you not allowing you to escape from that prison by being patient? Just do it one at a time. Be a little patient. Okay, I did it for 10 minutes. Try a little bit more the next day. Or when you need to maybe use that word as a word for you for the year, and just use it. Patience, patience. You're in a meeting. Be aware what your head's saying. Blah, 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 blah. When it gets to that frenzied space, stop, breathe, be patient, and listen. You've got to test it. I know I work at it. I talk about it. I share it with you. And yet sometimes I fail. I am not the best practitioner, but I will never give up the practice, because listening to the POWs gave me so many life skills. And it was only because I listened. So I say to you today, please increase your patience. Stop that head stuff that goes on, that self-talk that isn't always possible, and listen to others. Cindy, back to you.
Wow. I have goosebumps. I actually put you in the gallery mode so that it's only you when I was recording. The way that you convey the story, it is amazing.
Thank you.
Val,
Thank you.
it's such an honor to really say I know you. You are truly amazing. And I don't even know of another person that can tell. Sorry, now everything is now just gone off. A person that can really tell, and you tell a story and you touch our souls, our heart. You've got this amazing ability, and I'm so happy that I know you. Thank you so much for your beautiful talk. I love, love, love that. So, ladies, and Andrew, if there's any questions for Val, please put it in the chat. If there's some time afterwards, we can. But I will be sending the chat out to all of them, and they will be answering, and I will come back to you. So now, my beautiful ladies and Andrew, I need to introduce Jaisri. So she already came and talked to us about her 5 minutes. And now she's going to come and do the 20 minutes. When I asked her to do the 5 minutes, she was okay. When I said, okay, now your 20 minutes, she said, and she's ready. She did a video for me. She was like, oh, and she did it. I am so proud of you. And one of the biggest things for me is when we did our masters, I worked very hard to complete my masters before I went to New Zealand, so that I do not keep it and then don't do it after all. And then when she could let me know, and she said, Sanet, I did my masters. You were such an inspiration to me. So that made me even more happy, because I know that she also accomplished a big thing, because that master's was not a joke. So my beautiful Josery, you are so welcome to inspire us. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Sanet. I mean, wow, just listening to Andrew and to Val, it's so inspiring. You know, I'm going to reiterate what Andrew said, in that, you know, when Sanet said patience, you're like, okay, so I love speaking, obviously, and I love coaching, and I love the sound of my voice. And then I'm like, okay, it's a new one. This is interesting. And I did a lot of research on patience. And, you know, one of the first things I do is I like to try and find out the origin of that saying, you know, patience is the birth. I love to find out, you know, the origins of these sayings, like where do they come from? And, you know, there wasn't really anything that I found. It was more rooted in religion. And that's a story for another podcast, because I believe in questioning everything. But, you know, when we hear patience, for me, my mind goes immediately to that marshmallow, the famous marshmallow experiment with the kiddies, and, you know, that. But why I love this setting is that you hear different perspectives. And I thought, what can I share with you about patience? And, you know, Andrew and Val have touched on what I really believe in, and experiences, similar experiences I've had. Well, not prisoners of war, obviously, but, you know, with listening and what Andrew mentioned. But I thought, you know, let me share my experience with you, because that is how we learn. We learn as adults through experiences. So I've had a few experiences, but I'm going to speak about 2 or 3 that really stuck with me. And the first story is, so I grew up in a very, very small town. Mel will know where it is. It's somewhere in KZN, but it was in a very, very abusive home, in that my father was an alcoholic. And so it was my mom, and she had 3 daughters, and I was the second of 3 daughters. And she wanted to get out, you know, she fought. She really did fight for us. And the only way out was through education. So my older sister went through and studied law, and then I followed. And my mom's plan was to just educate her daughters and then get out. And then she would be free and be able to live her life and be happy and be loved. And we really struggled, you know. I mean, I was talking about it with a friend the other day, where even at university, my mom was a dressmaker. So we wore clothes that she would sew. We couldn't afford it. And I think the first time I bought clothes was from a shop, was when I was about 23. Used to cut my own hair. I mean, anyway, back to patience. So my mom's dream was to get her children, you know, educated, and then she would get out. And I finished my qualification, and I finished my LLB, and my younger sister was in grade 11. She was going to go into matric. And the day of my graduation, my mom was very sick, and she, you know, she tried to come to my graduation, but because she was sick, she could sit in the car. So she never saw me graduate, because she was outside the hall. And the next day she passed away. And for me, what was that? I mean, you waited so long, you worked so hard to die. She never got to experience. I mean, there's so much of things that I wish I could have done. I wish I could have helped her. And, I still remember on the way back from the graduation ceremony, she was sitting in the back seat and she knew she was going to die, and I knew she was going to die. But, in that moment, you were in denial. You don't remember. And she said, please just do what she did for me and my older sister, for my younger sister. And I did. And, I really, really, my mom's death made me question how we live life. And one would argue that that was being patient, but if she wasn't and she just left, her life could have been extended. She could have, who's to say, things wouldn't have worked out? By saying to yourself, I'm going to be patient. And so if anybody here is listening or anybody here is in that position, I'm telling you as the child, do not stay in that situation. That is not patience. Leave. You're not doing yourself any favors, and you're not doing the children any favors. But what I will say is that she has helped me, because when I look back at her life, sadly, all I see is someone who worked really hard and lived only for her children. And I don't want my son to remember me like that. I want my son to remember me as someone who loved life and was happy and took risks and enjoyed life. That's what I want him to do, because I don't want him to repeat that cycle, because for a long time I thought that's how you were supposed to live. Our culture and our religion teaches us that life is a suffering and this is your fate. And no, I refuse to believe that. If life is a suffering and everything is preordained and destined already, and I don't have any control over that, well, then no, thank you. I am not happy with that arrangement. So I've taken control of my own life. Which brings me to my second story. So, mom passes away. Great, dad's a bit of a loser. Right? Not a bit of a loser. So my younger sister is in matric, and I need to now put her through university. I could not find a job in the legal industry that paid enough to run a household. So what I did was, I did the only job that I could find with a wonderful family, but I was effectively cleaning their home and their business. And I will never forget cleaning toilets with my law degree and seeing my friends who were in matric with me and who were in university with me, driving around in their BMWs. And I was so angry. And I had this victim mentality, because you know what? There's the saying that in God's time, things will happen. God knows when it will happen for you, So I was there for a long time. That whole saying of in God's time, there's no such thing as in God's time it's going to happen. God's time is your time. I use that as an excuse, and I'm here telling you that now, is that at that moment it was an excuse because it served me. I was angry and I wanted to feel like a victim. It served me. I wasn't applying for other jobs. I was like, this is my fate. And when God knows, when God is ready to turn it around, then my life will turn around. And no, what changed, or when my life changed, is when I took control of my life. And I said, my time is my time. And the moment I made that decision, my life changed. The first time I sat in a plane ever, I was about 24 years old, and the rest through work. And now I can tell you I've been to over 10 different countries. Like, it's amazing. From, I still remember on my hands and knees, and thinking, is this is it? And thinking, yes. And, this whole story about in God's time, there's a friend of mine who wants to have a baby. She's insulin resistant. So metformin, the usual hormonal treatment and all of that. And, she needs to go on a diet regime and do certain things. And she's not doing any of it. And she says, in God's time, when God is ready for me to have the baby, I will. God has given you the answer. God has given you the tools. You are not using it. When you start to use it, then your life will change. Then you will get what you want. There is no such thing. It is your time. God wants what you want. And if you're not going for it, then you don't want it. There's a fear. For me, it was anger. It was victim mentality. So look at what's holding us back. So those experiences for me have taught me a few lessons about patience. For me, patience it's not about time. It is a knowing. It is a knowing that what I manifest for myself will come through. It's not about waiting. It's about, yes, I have this goal, but what do I do in the meantime? Do I just sit back and wait for it to come to me, or do I take action and start making it happen? Like that masters, oh my goodness, that I thought, what? I took the day off on my birthday and I said, I am going to finish this today, and that is my birthday present to me. That is patience, because I can then celebrate afterwards. I did eventually go, and practice in law and write the board exams. It was my dream. I studied for my board exams. I spent Christmas Eve and Christmas Day studying because I knew it was temporary. And I knew in February I was going to write all of it. And I knew in April I was going to get those results that were going to say, you passed all of them at the first go. And I did. And I celebrated like crazy. So it was that one sacrifice, but so much. That's what patience is. It's a knowing, right? It's also discernment. There are times where you have to practice patience and practice that knowing. And then there are times where you have to act. And where do we get that discernment from? We get that discernment from our gut feeling. So whatever it is that you call it, whether it's spirit, gut feeling, sixth sense, intuition, like, I'm not sure if Andrew's still here, but he spoke about that story about when he, invested that money and he was going to pull the money out of his investment. I am certain that he will say that the first thought that came to him was, don't. And the second thought was, pull it out. And we don't listen to that gut feeling. And that, for me, is God speaking to me at that moment. And by practicing listening to that voice, that is how you will thrive. And that is how you will continue to create and grow that conversation with God that you want to have, and practice slowing down and just being. So, yes, that's it for me. It is gut feeling. Go with it. I hope I was able to share something, with you from my experience, and whoever is watching this can learn. So there's times when we need to be patient, and there's times where, girl, you got to just make a move. The
Wow.
time is now.
Wow.
Thank you,
And,
Sanet.
and
Thank
I
you.
just say to you, I've got goosebumps all over. And you don't have a forever song, because my beautiful Jaisri must come back to tell me what's her forever song, so that we can do the dance, and if the anchoring, that's my gift to her. I selected a song just before you started to speak. Val just finished. I said, you must go ahead. I go and select a song. And now at this moment, I know exactly why God chose me to choose that song. I will play it in a minute. My beautiful ladies and Andrew, I hope that you had an amazing session, and that you found out the different coins of patience, because patience have two sides of a coin. And that's why I think, Andrew, while you're listening, and Jaiji, you're at the end, everything just came up and it was amazing. If I can have a mic drop, I will do, but guys, I don't do a mic drop. So, Janice, my mic drop is called, but you have to look at my face. Boom, shakalaka. I like boom, shakalaka. So, ladies, are you ready to have a dance with me? Fatima and Mel, put on your camera. I'm going to put down the recording, and you will not know